Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus with another round of Burn today. This day we're going to be working on a Rakdos list that's had a couple of strong finishes in uh, modern challenges, primarily while Bridgevine was still a thing, so hence why there's 4 copies of Leyline of the Void and 2 copies of Rakdos Charm. The Rakdos Charm is multifunctional in what it does, being a shatter and graveyard effect. Also can come in against things that will flood the board with a bunch of creatures, so pretty good against anything that's doing like the Saheeli combo or random Pestermite Kiki Jiki thing. Beyond that, the only notable feature of this is the lack of light up the stage. Instead, whoever created this particular build was doing more with copies of Shard Volley, which, while it's a card I'm not very happy to see, especially as a 4 of. Playing 20 lands in this build, including 2 Sunbaked Canyon, 2 Fiery Islet. Beyond that, you've got your Bump of the Nights, Lava Spikes, Shard Volleys, and Lightning Bolts as kind of your 1-drop spells. You have 1 random Skullcrack here, which I'm not quite sure how they fit in. Only 3 copies of Searing Blaze. That explains how they fit the Skullcrack in. Searing Blaze, obviously this is a card that can be an all-star in the creature matchups, but can be very kind of wishy-washy in the non-creature matchups. You're kind of fishing for targets like Manlands or Snapcaster Mages. Islands of the Great Revel, card that's kind of been debated back and forth a little bit whether it should be staying in the main deck or not. I still think it's a main deck card for the most part, but obviously there are some matchups like Humans and E-Tron and stuff where this card isn't particularly great. Rift Bolts and Skewer the Critics rounding out the spell base. Sideboard, one of Collective Brutality. This card's pretty decent in a lot of spots. Can kill Core Firewalker in the mirror match. Also comes in as a drain, a little bit of life gain in a pinch against the Burn Mirror. A couple copies of Grimflayer for the creature matchups. 2 additional copies of Skullcrack for any type of life gain going on. Stirring Bloods for the small creature matchups. Smash the Smithereens and Rakdos Charms for the artifacts. And also Rakdos Charm has the benefit of being graveyard hate. Very interesting list. Obviously a little bit outdated with Hogok now banned, but an interesting deck list nonetheless. Getting as many matches as we can. Ended up taking too long of a nap today after work, so not going to have a whole lot of time for like really messing around with things. So hopefully we'll get maybe 3 matches in, 2 at the minimum for tomorrow. So depends on how long these first couple of matches take. I hate when my stupid thing does that. Sure, we'll keep. This hand's pretty reasonable. A little bit slow on the. Okay. So, probably not a great matchup right off the bat. Usually, that indicates some type of fairies or something along those lines. Which Fae may not be a terrible matchup, but something else like. I normally see that, I think, like ad nauseum or something, so. Drop our opponent to 19. Nope. Esper Control. Oh, no. So, one on top, one on bottom. There's a Snapcaster Mage on top, which I find kind of interesting. Not sure why you'd really want to top a Snapcaster Mage here. I guess you can Snap Inquisition. Snap Inquisition, take the Searing Blaze. Nope. Still not 100% sure what our opponent's on here. Card on top. Trigger monster mentor. Okay. Put our opponent to 3. So this is the Esper Mentor deck. So they're technically calling it Esper spells. So sideboard stuff. Versus the program. So they've got things like brutality and such to bring in. Snapcasters, Monastery Mentors, Teferi Time Raveler. So what cards am I interested in here? Probably interested mildly in the Skull Cracks and the Searing Bloods. Blood's debatable. Like, what card is actively bad? Board out some amount of Shard Volley, because they do have some amount of counter spells, so getting 2 for 1 there doesn't feel too hot. Searing Blaze is obviously a reasonable thing in this spot. Rakdos Charm is interesting. Might be a little too narrow. That would hit Monastery Mentor plan, would also possibly blank Snapcaster Mage, but I think that's just too eh. This is one of those hands that I think we keep this hand, but it is close. Good chance this dies here. Hopefully they fetch Shock and Pathos. Nope, it's like just Fatal Push. Path to Exile would have been so much better for us. Thoughtseize. Not sure you want to leave that one in, but okay. Not mulliganing for a second land gamut might come back to bite us a little bit. Gonna play Monastery Mentor. Feels like a Monastery Mentor kind of turn. Nope. Alright. They run 2 Forced Negation, that's interesting. Went bottom top with it. Could potentially hold up Skullcrack here, but I think just for posterity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and bolt them. I think our ideal draw would be like a fetch land here. Sweet. Now I don't have to make any moves, friend. It's on you. I don't think you're gonna 2-for-1 yourself there during tap low on blue mana. Feels like some type of delve threat. Delve threat or brutality of some kind. Pitching Mentor and Opt. Yeah, if you got your Spell Pierce, you got your Spell Pierce. It's kind of whatever here. So put us to 7, which I'm fine with, because our opponent cannot cast any spells. Sure. choosing the honorable way out. Alright, that's it for match number 1. Yeah, we're back for match number 2. As a friendly reminder, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, giving this channel a thumbs up, leaving a constructive comment down below. 4-lander, pretty easy mulligan. 2-lander, what am I putting back here? So, I think the card we put back is between Searing Blaze and Skewer the Critics here. Skewer the Critics has the highest, or Searing Blaze has the highest upside of those two cards. I guess we'll put that back. Take a bit of a gamble here. So, some type of, I mean, that makes the hand a little bit better, because some idea of what we're dealing with. Could be Storm still, could be Use It Phoenix, still kind of hard to tell right now. Okay, looks like it says it Phoenix, or a variant thereof. Good old misclick of a button. It should be at 10. We'll see if that comes back to bite us here or not. Already a flame, putting us on a bit of a clock here. It should be at 7, remember that. See if that comes back to bite us here. Echoing Truth here. Right draws, there's definitely a decent chance we could die here. A little less likely. Back explosion. Max sinkhole, sorry. So we're dead next turn, most likely. Keeping in mind the opponent should be at 2 because of our missed Goblin God attack. But we're definitely dead here, so moving on to game number 2. Certain Blaze isn't particularly great in the matchup, but without something like Fatal Push or Path to Exile, I'm not sure there's honestly anything we even bring in. Rakdos Charm doesn't do enough. We don't really have much life gain in the sideboard right now. That's effectively at 2 here. The 2 while their shields are down. Part of the reason I'm not a huge fan of Shard Volley. Having to sack a land here is not great. Sure. So we're getting hit for 13 here, which shuts off the Islet. Okay. All the bleeping things in the world. Alright, well, it's one way to lose to, is it Phoenix, I guess? I mean, missing that attack kind of sucked, but I don't know if there's anything else we could have done. So, this has been John for MTG Nexus with match number 2. We're back for match number 3 here. Once again, we're on the draw. It's a close hand. A lot of people want to mulligan automatically one-landers, but when you have basically 5 one-mana plays, I think you keep this hand. Basically, a lot of things can go wrong. See what they're on here. Okay, so some type of graveyard shenanigans stuff. New version of the Hogok deck, I guess. Let's try to kill our opponent as quickly as possible. Sure. Try to get as much information. Oh, there's a land. Just some type of zombies deck. Going to 10 here. I think they can kill us here. But I do think... Let's go ahead and do this. Do this. Don't attack. So, presuming this is some type of Hogok deck, go ahead and bring in the ley lines. Bring in these. Bring in these. Go down these wonderful shard volleys. Skull Crack probably isn't terribly relevant. Bump in the night, the next cut. Feels like it. Seems pretty reasonable. Awkward turn. One draw, ley line in the void. Possible I'm just supposed to use one of my Searing Blazes there. It's a lot of blood ghasts. Let's look at their amalgam back, which is mildly annoying. Oh, great. Here comes Hogok. Seems legit, right? Not sure why you wouldn't attack with the big boy there. Still don't think there's a way we survive here, right? So 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Alright, so one card in their hand. They're definitely graveyard based. Probably supposed to mulligan towards Leyline. Still think this hand on the play is good enough, so I'm going to keep. Even without the turn 0 ley line, this hand's pretty good against what they're doing now. Carrion feeder, sure. This thing, we'll have a carrion feeder in play. Yep. Ooh, one lander. Seems rough. Looting. Claim to fame. Interesting. going to attack. Here we go. Should be the GGs. Yep. Alright, so we started out 2-1 in this league so far. The thing is, the Phoenix kind of gets under my crawl a little bit, but you know, sometimes that happens, especially when they have decent draws. I did make a punt by not attacking with the Goblin Guides that one turn, but they still would have ended up at 2. So sometimes you do lose that matchup. They can apply quite a bit of pressure, and our hands were a little bit And I know there's going to be a couple comments about the keeping the one-landers, and I do it on the draw when I have 3 or 4 one-mana spells to play, so sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. This has been John for MTG Nexus. We'll finish up the rest of this league 2-up.